Yeah, we here. I'm right back at you like I never left, and I'm gonna go this hard to my last breath. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Kanoom, Consul Moon. You already know what you're gonna get when you step in this room. You're now dealing with Kanoom. I'm here. And while I'm here, I'm gonna make the information direct and clear because a lot of y'all can't hear. Now, welcome back to Make My Ancestors Great Again. This is another episode of My Thoughts, and it says, Who wrote the Bible? But we're still on the same theme from yesterday, and that is God wrote the Bible in question marks. So all week I'm going to try to track down the best explanations that people attempt to give when a simple question is asked: Who wrote the Bible? Okay, let's listen to the ancestors and we'll get straight to it.
There's one thing you have to get through your mind and keep it. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world. And I said there's no exception.
All right, that was the ancestors. And again, I take my hat off to the ancestors. I owe them my life when it comes to this information and this type of stuff that I'm doing today. Is to continue, is to continually put the information that I was taught from them into the universe as best that I can. Okay, so that's what I do each day. I take some of the information and I share it for public consumption on my YouTube channel. So I can't make you get the information. I can't make you accept the information. I can deliver the information. That's all I am, as an instrument. And one can do whatever he please or she pleases with the information. But the information is African based, and it's for African people. Anybody can watch it, but this is to pinpoint and give African people some understanding that all man-made religion was European created, European nurtured to grow into what they grew into today, and European dominated and led. Okay, that's why I always play that clip. Nothing that ever came from the European mind was meant to do anything but facilitate European domination of the world, and there's no exception. So God is a part of that too. The term God. Okay. Now, this is from Lex Clips. I don't own it. I believe his name is Lex Fedman, somewhere up in there. Um, you can go over there and give him a like and subscribe to his page, his platform. I'm going to share the clip, and this is for fair use. This is for criticism. This is for scrutiny. And I believe this is a teaching moment. So let's look at the video. I don't own it. Again, this is a fair use act. And I'm going to give my thoughts and opinions. If you feel like you want to do something for me, like and subscribe because it won't cost you a fee. I'm going to let it play. I'm going to pause it and give what I think about what he's saying on different parts of that. I'm going to give my commentary. So let's get into it.
The church fathers used Greek philosophy, and Aquinas uses Aristotle, and all that's great. But we're an historical religion, and that matters immensely.
Right away, he start talking about what's known as the church fathers. These people never existed in human being form. I know that sounds crazy, and you probably looking at the screen like, what are you talking about? The church fathers wrote books. They did this and that. That's propaganda. That's created literature, names attached to that created literature, and put forth into the masses of the universe, to the masses of the people who was going to start reading this stuff and asked where it came from. Okay, so right away, he said the church fathers talk about Aristotle and all these type of people. Why would the church fathers need to say anything about Aristotle and Socrates and all this type of stuff? They didn't have anybody else to discuss or say, hey, I base everything on the Greeks. If Abraham and Moses and Noah was right, they would predate Aristotle and Socrates. I don't know if you knew that. So why would the church fathers' premises and basis for study and teaching be based on Greeks? Let me go back to that so you can hear it. Right away. He said the church fathers get all their teachers and speak about Greek people. Okay, let me let you hear that again.
The church fathers used Greek philosophy, and Aquinas uses Aristotle, and all that's great. But we're an historical religion.
The church fathers use Aristotle and all that Greek philosophy, but we're a historical religion. Okay. Abraham, Noah, Moses, all these names predate the Greek philosophers. Aristotle and Herodotus, all them only go back to 900 BC, the way they say it. Abraham, Noah, Moses, all these people was anywhere from 1400 BC, 1600 BC, and 1500 BC. If you know the supposed date for these people that the Bible is saying. See, it's just supposed. That's why he said it's not history, but it's something like a history. I'm going to tell you why the church fathers use Greek philosophy, because that's all it was. The first Bible to ever be introduced to the planet is the Septuagint, a Greek rendition of the supposed Hebrew, because the way they teach you, Hebrew was first, then come the Greek, then come the Latin, and all this type of stuff. Aramaic, English, whatever the case may be. That's a lie. The church fathers are based on patristic handwriting. Look it up. Patristic is a body, patristic writing or patristic theology is a body of writing used. The church fathers is the basis of the name. Patristic handwriting is the church fathers. It's a body used to write Christian religious literature. It's called patristic handwriting. The Jews or the Hebrews have a body of handwriting called Pirkei Avot. Look it up. Pirkei Avot is a body of writing used to write Jewish religious literature. The Muslims have a body of writing. It's called the Hadith, the Sunnah, the Ishnad. Okay, that's a body of writing used to write Islamic religious literature. That's all it is. None of the people that I named, Noah, Abraham, and Moses, ever existed unless the church fathers would have spoke on them instead of Aristotle or Greek philosophy. He said they were a historical religion, but every time these people, like I say, they build up just like yesterday. And when you ask them a question, they just fizzle down. They evaporate because the lie is big when you right there. Yeah, I believe like this. But when you go to explaining it, they just weather down. Let's continue. He said right there was a historical religion. Now he's going to say it's not historical.
And that matters immensely.
Is the Bible the literal word of God? How do you make sense of the words that make up the Bible?
Very simple. Is the Bible the literal word of God? How do you make understanding of the words used in the Bible? Very simple and plain. Listen to how he waddle, backpedal, talk about all this stuff he learned, and just is it yes or no? If I don't know something, I don't waddle. It's yes or no. Or I say I don't know that. Listen to the way they do it. You hear me? Let's continue.
I think the best way to get at the Bible is to think of it as a library, not a book. So it's a collection of books, right? From a wide variety of periods, different authors, different audiences, and different genre. So in the Bible, you find poetry, you find song, you find something like history, not in our sense, but something like history. You find gospel, which is its own genre. You find epistolary literature like Paul. You find apocalyptic. There's all this in the Bible. So is the Bible literally the word of God? It's like saying, is the library literally true? It depends on what section you're in.
It depends on what section you in to know if God wrote it. This is basically the way I interpret what he's saying. Did he write it? It depends. What are you saying? It's like if you're saying, is the library real? Depends on what section you in. That has nothing to do with that. This is a formalized manner to answer a question which he learned through theological education. He knows how to answer questions and keep it just like they taught him. He's not going to simply say yes or no, because it's not as simple as put as that. All you have to do is say yes or no. Okay. The Gospels just mean good news. These are biblical terms. We want history. Did God write the Bible? If he did, based on what historical instruments can we use to show what you're talking about? Because it's show and prove at this point. When a person asks you a question, you give them the best tools they need to put in their mind or to go find the answer that you gave them in history. If this stuff he's saying is not historically based, then we won't be able to have any reference points. You see, just reference the Bible. Apocalyptic, he mentioned that. Apocalyptic is another biblical term. This is the final devastation of the world. This is when people suppose there's nothing left in the world and you're going to see the final destruction of the world based on Revelation. People wasn't talking about apocalypse before it came out in the Bible. This is nonsense. You hear me, African people? All they do is rationale, say a bunch of things that they learned instead of telling you no or yes. If he did, this is the reason. No, if he didn't, this is why. But see, they don't do that. He's doctoring up a bullcrap answer. The answer is no. And why am I saying that? Because you cannot base God on any historical events and say God did it. Because what instruments can I use to measure what you're saying? What point was God walking this planet? When you say the first century because he was Jesus, I have an instrument. I go back and see who was there. Jesus never came out of the first century. Nobody named Jesus was in the first century. Because like they have them church fathers, they also put other people in the game. Later, Josephus is one. See? Eusebius from Pamphylia and Eusebius of Caesarea. That's another name. Tacitus, all these names they put into, they just interject that into history and say these people wrote about him. That's bull crap. There's no biography for Jesus more than 3 or 4 lines. And whoever put that out there, put it out there for the scholarly community. Okay. Historically speaking, there's never been a man named Jesus the Christ to ever walk the planet in human form. Simple as that. This man is just sitting up here motor mouthing, barber shopping, and things like that. He don't have any historical references to give us.
Right. So parts of like 1 and 2 Samuel, 1 and 2 Kings, number of places in the Old Testament. Are there elements of the historical in there? Sure. But it's theologically interpreted history. It's not like our sense of history of,
1 and 2 Samuel has history in there, but it's not like our history. It's theological interpreted history. All of this is theological based. This is theology. See, what he forgot to say is that the Bible is based on oral tradition, allegory, mythology, and fiction, and flat out goddamn lies. You hear me? This man has all 3 syndromes, which he learned in school. He has dumbass syndrome, damn fool syndrome, and jackass syndrome. All 3 full blown. He's sitting up there with a neck collar on. He know this stuff is not historical and or written by somebody named God. But yet and still he's going to lie because he got to keep it wrapped nice and tight and say that God breathed all through it. What's God breathing mean? What's a breath of God? What is that? Can you explain that? Let's continue. You hear me?
give me 10,000 footnotes and, I'm going to look at all the source material I can possibly find. It's more like ancient history, like Herodotus, people like that. But then there's poetry and there's myth and there's legend and there's song and all that stuff in the Bible. So God breathes through all of it, I would say. He inspired all of it, right? Inspirare. He's breathing through all of it. God is speaking.
Inspirare. He's breathing. See, I don't care about all these propped up terms that shows that he has an education that he acquired through school. I don't care about none of that. He's waddling. He's backpedaling. He's shoe shining. He's shucking and jiving. He's motor mouthing, barber shopping, instead of giving a definitive answer. God never wrote one book unless you're talking about the man that speaks for God. That's all it is. God is the man that speaks for God. You hear me? Let's continue, African people.
Through all of it. But he speaks in different voices. He uses different human instruments, and he uses different genre and different types of language. So we have to be sensitive to that when we're interpreting the Bible.
So the different instruments are more or less, some are more perfect than others.
No, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say more perfect. I'd say they're just different. It's like a symphony, and God's like a conductor, and there's all kinds of different instruments in the orchestra. And he loves us to breathe through the Psalms. I prayed the Psalms this morning. I do every day in my office. Those are songs. They probably were literally sung, most of them, at one point.
There's no probably about it. If you know about classical Greek and Greek people, they used to sing. They would sing to learn and mentally knock the teaching in your head. When you do it to a rhythm, you can remember it. It has a pattern, iambic pentameter. It has a pattern to it so that you can remember it, like Shakespeare. It's no such thing as it probably was sung. The Psalms, the songs of Psalms were written to be sung, you see, especially in the classical Greek. So again, he's just barbershopping.
Breathes through apocalyptic, like we're reading the book of Revelation now in the Easter season. And it's this wild and woolly book. It should be filmed by, Spielberg or somebody today. And he speaks through the Gospels. The Gospels, which correspond in genre to what I call ancient biography. That's the genre of the Gospels. It's wrong to call them like mythic or simply literary. They're like ancient biographies. You have the Pauline letters, which are about, particular cities that Paul was visiting and particular people he knew. So you just got to be sensitive to the genre all the time.
You got to be sensitive to the genres all the time. That's Lex Clips, y'all. Get over there. Give him a subscribe, hit the like button, and go watch his stuff. This man sat there, I believe that was a 3-minute clip, and gave you a bunch of information, but it was useless. Useless information is the equivalent to no information. See, but the simple fact that he can sit there, oh man, we're talking about Revelations because it's Easter and the apocalypse. Oh, it's a woolly book, it's crazy good woolly book. This should be filmed by Spielberg. Yeah, because that's all it is. It should be put on motion picture or media because it's nothing but myth. The people who wrote that down was damn fools. The people who ingested without thinking about it said, man, who wrote this nonsense down? Are damn fools too. Okay. So that's my thoughts on the video. This man here, whatever his name was, Father Derek or whatever he was, is a damn fool. Okay. That's my thoughts on the video. It's Lil Kenny Russell, Canoon Consul Moon. You already know what you're going to get me. Step in this room. You're now dealing with Canoon. This is what I do, and I love to do it. And before I take back what I said, I ask them more to it. This is not to take religion from you. We're trying to attempt to see who wrote the Bible. Did God write it? Every interpretation and every person so far that we see when they put to the test and ask the question, they sit there and just motor mouth. They sit there continuously barbershopping. They're giving you everything they learned by way of theological and seminary school, but it's a bunch of information that's worthless. Okay, So you get a lot of information, but you have little use for it. Like, share, subscribe, comment, and I thank you for watching. If you feel like you want to do something for me, like and subscribe because it won't cost you a fee. This is not to take religion from you. This is to restore spirituality, which was taken from you at the time religion was given to you. Okay. Education and preparation is the first step to retaliation. So before you pick up a weapon or a silly religion, pick up some knowledge. If anybody's offended by anything you heard, I mean every word. Yeah, yeah.